All right, welcome back. Here we are at Hammerway. It is Wednesday. It's 4 o'clock. It's my new time. So it's good to be here and do it at this new time when I think we got some more folks that might be able to jump in, done with work. And you can see right now we're getting ready for one hell of a chat with Hell's Addiction. And today we've got Liam with us. How's it going,
Hey,
Liam?
yeah, good. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing great. We just had a little bit of a chat here ahead
We
of
did.
time, and
We did.
now we're ready to move and really roll.
Cool.
Um,
Okay.
we were kind of chatting just a little bit here before about this new album. I have a lightning round. I do a lightning round with my guests all the time, but we were talking a little bit about this new record, and
Yep.
it's called 9 O'Clock Horses, and
hmm
I think it's a brilliant record. It's how would you describe it?
It's a tough one, really. I mean, when we put this record together, we'd look at some of the songs and we'd be, do these even belong on the same album? And I've always had this. I like to listen to an album, and there's a bit of variation on there. There's some heavier stuff, there's some softer stuff, there's some melodic stuff. I like that variation. Then you get other people that kind of. I like AC/DC, and I like that formula. And they're never going to write a ballad. You know what you're going to get. So it's been an interesting one for us. I think it's the right way to go. I think there's something in there for everybody, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what do you mean no ballads? I mean, they did like a whole lot of Rosie. I mean, isn't that a ballad?
Yeah,
It's certainly
close.
a love. It's certainly a love.
I
Uh,
love, yeah, of some form.
well, I think we know of the form they give the
Well, absolutely, yeah,
right there in the song.
yeah.
The one thing that I'm saying I've said about this band is I'm so glad to have this moment to talk with you, Liam, because this is a band that I had no prior knowledge about.
Yeah.
Um,
As
then,
most people on the planet, to be honest.
well, and we'll talk more about that here in a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
But
cool.
being in the UK, it's an interesting. It's got to be an interesting thing because it's such a music. Um, it's rich in history in its music
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah,
UK, and
yeah, absolutely.
just as
I mean,
American music is legendary over in the UK.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, even now. I mean, obviously, bands and you're not bands are not particularly played on mainstream radio, such especially in the UK. I mean, I don't know, the state of affairs over there, but
It's
it's.
about the same.
But then there's a crazy amount of talent out there when you're traveling around and you're touring and you're gigging. There's some incredible bands that will unfortunately probably never go any further than what we are doing now. But there's some amazing talent out there. There really is, and
There
there's
really is.
still lots in abundance wherever you go.
Hmm. And
Still those moments where you watch somebody and your jaw's on the floor and you go, yeah, okay, they've got it.
yes. Now I had thought that had spoken with Dave Tedder from Head First over here
Yep.
about you guys, and I was thinking that he had maybe mentioned that you had been here to the States, but you have not, right?
No, we've not. No,
And
not as of yet. It's a dream to do, obviously, but
yeah.
as and when.
And I said before when we were having our little pre-chat, what
hmm
I call a rehearsal. When I screw up, that's what I call it. It's a rehearsal. And because I will, I've worked all day, and so that's my thing. But
Exactly.
but here's the deal, though. I was saying that it would be really cool. I think a great tour would be Hell's Addiction and Wayward Sons to come over here and do a tour.
Absolutely, yeah. And like we said in the pre-chat, we have gigged with them once before. Great group of lads, great band, great live band. And
Yeah,
I followed Toby since the Little Angels days as well. And he's just a really humble guy as well. We saw him
absolutely.
backstage, and he's just a really chatty, nice guy.
Absolutely. I loved I interviewed him a couple of different times for a couple of different things, and
Yep.
we've become, good friends over the year. I actually went
Yeah.
over when they were with Steel Panther and hung out
Okay.
with them for about 4 shows on the tour.
Oh, cool.
And it was really, really cool. I love doing that. If I could just do that,
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Liam, that's what retirement's all about, I think.
Exactly. Absolutely.
But I've also got a band of my own here that does covers and things.
Okay.
But
Okay.
before we jump right in, because the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to ride that horse and talk about this new album. I want to talk about that first, but I do have to do a lightning round.
Okay.
So my lightning rounds always have a little something in them, but for the most part, they're questions I would ask you if we were hanging out having a pint, right?
Cool.
So, and of course, on my list, I have to spell favorite with a U.
Okay.
Favorite band of yours that nobody's heard of?
Favorite band of mine that nobody's heard of. Asphalt Ballet.
There you go. Asphalt Ballet. I'm going to write that down because that's what I do, because I need to check these out. Asphalt Ballet. That's great. What kind of music is that?
That's just classics. It's sort of 80s hair metal rock and roll, bluesy rock and roll, really.
Yeah.
The first album, don't go for the second one, which is Pigs, 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 I think. I can't remember what the first one's called.
I can't say that I didn't see these guys pop up when I was going through stuff on Spotify.
Okay.
Because I was looking at the records.
Yeah.
Which actually I just here, look at this. I just got it at the record store the other day.
Can't quite see it.
Picked it up used, the records.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think when I was looking them up, I think they did show up, Asphalt Ballet.
Possible.
I think what's interesting about you mentioning their first album and not the second record is it reminds me of British Lions. Do you remember them?
Steve Harris?
No, that's British Lion.
Okay, British Lions.
But British Lions was when Mott the Hoople split.
Right.
And the rest of the guys got together with John Fiddler.
Okay. No, it's a new one on me.
Yeah, he ended up being in Box of Frogs later.
Okay.
But they got together with John Fiddler, and it's the same thing, Liam. First record, second record. If you become a big fan and you got to check it out.
Yeah.
But first record.
I think the thing with Asphalt Ballet is the first album was released before grunge, and then grunge came through, and then the second album, and they completely changed their sound. And it was a good grunge sound. Don't get me wrong, but it was North and South Pole, the two albums, and it's a shame really because the first album's great. Some great tracks on there. The track called Tuesday's Rain, which reminds me a lot of a bit of the Cult, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. That sounds wow. Isn't it weird when you have these conversations and you're like, that sounds really familiar?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure back in the day it was probably all over MTV, no doubt.
Probably
there's so many of those tracks that you don't even things like Tangier and bands like that
Tangier.
Great band.
Shock Paris, all these different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And there's God, Liam, we both know there's so many more.
Oh, that's what I love about music. I always find something that is the underdog or the obscure version of what, the bigger bands like Guns N' Roses. I'll find something that sounds similar that not many people heard, maybe a band like Vane or something like that were around back in the days.
There you go.
So I always look for what I call the underdog, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Like back in the day too, another underdog was Wasted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cheese whiz.
Yeah.
No,
great.
Know about that.
Great bands. I mean, Heavy Bones were another one for me. I don't know if you ever heard that they released one record, and that's to me is like a cross between sort of Alice in Chains with that kind of late 80s, early 90s kind of thing going on. It's just a great sounding band. I think it was Joel Ellis, the singer from Cats in Boots. It was his second band, I think.
Really?
It's a great voice. And it's Gary Hoey playing guitar. Just a great album. That's one worth looking into.
Really?
Yeah.
Gary Hoey, he's going to be here close by this next month. He does a Christmas show.
What's he doing at the moment? Is he still doing his bluesy stuff?
Yeah. And he does a Christmas show over in Illinois. I mean, he does a tour. He does his Christmas tour.
Cool. Another good player. Great player, Gary Hoey.
Hopefully, well, oh crap. Oh, good. All right.
No, we're back.
Yeah, I hope I was hoping to maybe get over there or interview him as well.
Okay,
Um,
that'd be cool.
that's really cool. He has some, yeah. Wow. I've got so many notes, Liam, already. I don't even know if I got enough paper for everything we're going to talk about.
Excellent. Okay.
Second question.
Mhm.
Does do you or anybody in the band, do you collect any new vinyl or used vinyl?
I've got lots of vinyl actually. I've got my dad's vinyl collection from back in the day. So it's all classic sort of Hendrix and Deep Purple and Free, Bad Company, Queen, through to like Sly and the Family Stone and the Isley Brothers and all that sort of stuff, and Doobie Brothers and Skinner. So yeah, I love vinyl.
Oh,
I love
that's
vinyl.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
I did just buy me a new turntable. I've got a good classic one that I inherited from my father-in-law.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure how the stylus was, so I
Yeah, yeah.
went ahead and bought what I thought was a mid-ground.
You can spend some crazy money now, can't you, on that sort of stuff? Yeah.
God, yeah, and I just don't know enough, and I'm like,
No,
I got too many other things to do,
exactly. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I've always loved vinyl since I was a kid, because I said, like I said, my dad played in bands, and I'd wake up every Saturday morning, and there'd be vinyl spinning already. I'd get up and there'd be like Boston on or something, and it's just stuck. I think as you get a teenager, you rebel against it. You try and get away from it. It's like I don't want to do what my dad's doing. That's pretty uncool. And then then you get to about 16, 17. When you really start taking it in, and then you're like, nah, they were right, man. They were right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is funny too, because my daughter she listens to something that, like, a styles that I did not and still would
Yeah.
not listen to,
Yeah.
just like I did,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
what do you have, like, this was like a secondary, do you have like an old vinyl favorite that you remember from when you were young?
The Doors Alive.
There you go.
And I think it was more just I mean, I love the Doors anyway. I love the music. But I always remember the gatefold sleeve and the
Mhm.
picture of Jim Morrison and the crowd. Yeah, that really sticks out actually.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's great. Now, do you still enjoy live albums now?
Yeah, love it. I mean, my favorite live album is UFO, Strangers in the Night.
Oh, wow. All right. Fantastic.
Yeah, well, I
Well,
think
let
it's a
me ask
great
you this
album.
as an added, another added, because that's how conversations are.
It is,
Um,
exactly.
what was the, speaking of now, do you mind if I ask how young you are?
No, I'm 44.
44. Okay.
Yep.
So 44. So that means you were born what year? So I don't have to do math.
79.
There
So
you go.
around
79.
around the same time that Strangers in the Night
I
came
was
out.
going to say that's
Yeah,
about the same time.
yeah.
So, would it, what was 8 tracks like over there? Was it a thing? I know that that's too young really for you to know.
Yeah, it may have been. I mean, when I was growing up, we had vinyls, we had cassettes,
Hmm.
and then you moved into CDs. Then you got like MP3,
Right.
and not MP3s. You got mini discs and things like that, which never really took off over here. I don't think. Maybe for a period of a couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
But cassettes are making a comeback as well over here.
Right. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to be, vinyls and cassettes. People are kind of going down that retro route again, which is good. It's nice.
It is good. It is good. I just the only thing it probably shouldn't bother me so much. But my only thing is when people start pulling away from that originally, and
Yeah.
they're like, I don't need these CDs. I got everything digital. I
Yeah.
got it all. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got to get some vinyl or I got to get some CDs
Yeah.
and they're so expensive. I'm like, then why didn't you just keep that shit?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the problem is now, I think, because there's not so many pressing plants around the planet, and everything's going up. Everything's crazy expensive. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously, we're doing a vinyl run of the album, and it's even to us, to buy in not a huge amount of bulk, but in a certain amount of bulk,
Yeah.
it's expensive. It's just an expensive thing to
Yeah.
to buy and to own, for
Yeah.
what it is, if you know what I mean. But
Yes.
it's I've still got mine boxed up, and you just take them out. There's just something different about it,
Yeah,
and I think that stems back from that's how I grew up. Even though all my friends, it was all CDs and tapes. It was all vinyl. We had a CD player. Don't get me wrong, but
sure.
all the best music we already had was on vinyl.
Right. Right. And you have
Yeah.
to make that choice. Am I going to switch over? Am I going to stay? Am I going to?
Thing is, as well, I mean, some of the old vinyls still to this day they've not produced them on CD. You know,
Right.
I've got old classic like Bernie Marsden albums and things
Oh
like that.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that you can't even find on CD. It just doesn't exist.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely the way for me. Anyway,
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is a favorite TV show from your past?
favorite TV show from my past.
I'm a big Johnny
Uh,
Quest fan. That was me when I was a kid, but
okay.
we are different in age a little bit. So
Do you know? I was never really. Do you know what? I was always outside. I was never inside watching the TV. To be fair, if there was a den to be built or a ditch to hide in or a fire to be started, then I'll be there, no doubt.
yeah. Hey Liam, why don't you? No, I've got a show. Got to watch this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I was outside quite a bit myself, and that's kind of what I'm enjoying here is the difference too between a little bit of the culture difference, even though,
Yeah. I mean,
it's
I suppose what I remember is, as in TV shows from my childhood, would be like probably Sunday evenings.
Mhm.
You would have had your bath, and then there'd be programs like Only Fools and Horses, and like comedies, like sitcoms, um, and things like that. So I remember those kind of things really, and the Young Ones and Rick
Young
Mail and
one.
all that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always remember sort of being allowed to watch that. I was like, yeah, yeah, you can watch this.
I work at a school, and I was telling my students yesterday, I do believe it was, that my buddy had down in his basement. We'd go downstairs and then go all the way to the back room, and it was like a little shotgun room, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a TV at the one end of it, and we just sit down there and watch Monty Python and
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just
laugh
think
our asses off.
that's kind of much. Yeah, that's what I remember. I was never really one for kind of cartoons and things like that. Like that. Like I say, I was always out. I mean, my mum would struggle to keep me in. It would literally, whether it be rain or shine, I just one of those kind of kids, just wandering around and just generally being a bit of not a menace, but just a cheeky chappy. Just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. You're running around being a little cheeky, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. What was your as a fan? What was your favorite concert? Do you have one?
Um. So many, Do you know what I'll say? I used to go and watch blues bands with my mother and father when I was about 13, 14 years old. We had a
Oh
little
yeah.
hotel in the next village next to us. And they used to just put blues bands on, like tribute bands, like Clapton tributes and all sorts of various different things.
Hmm.
So I grew up watching those. So that was a really nice introduction. But then the first what I want to say real band I went to see when I was 15, I think. I got the train down to London,
Hmm.
and I went to see Matchbox 20 on their first ever tour when they came to the UK.
Yeah.
So I'll say that because it kind of introduced, into what I call a proper live gig at the Shepherd's Bush Empire was in London. Yeah, I remember.
Wow.
And because they were so kind of, it's the first time they came over here, and I think they
Mhm.
just released the second single off Yourself or Someone Like You, which was 3 a.m. I think. And
Okay.
myself and my girlfriend at the time, very that kind of obsessive age, and so
Mhm.
went down to London for the day, had a great day. And then we got in the venue, stood at the sound desk, and I was like, I'm sure that's the drummer in the sound desk. And it was. So we met him. He's a really nice guy, signed our tickets and stuff. And then literally it was showtime, and he just walked through the crowd, jumped on stage, and played. And I was just like, well, that's really cool.
That's very cool. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
like I think the first band I ever saw paid to go and see, waited in line, and that was the show was Judas
yeah.
Priest
Oh, cool.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
on the British Steel tour. But before that,
Wow.
I went to like fair. I went to the fair and I saw Jay Ferguson, and another time I saw Cheap Trick back
Oh, Cheap Trick. Yeah.
back in the day.
Robin
So
Zander. What a genius.
You're not kidding, man, and still kills it.
Yeah, and he's super underrated as a songwriter. I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking like I would say John Lennon of his generation. To be honest, I think him.
really.
I think him, and I think Jeff Lynne are two of the
Oh,
greatest songwriters on the planet. Yeah, without a
yeah,
shadow of a doubt.
yeah, yeah. How about that's what makes it really amazing when you think about bands like the Traveling Wilburys, and you're like, good
Yeah, yeah,
God, what a storm force that was for writing.
yeah. I mean, who didn't play in the Traveling Wilburys is more to the
You're right. Whose songs do we do? I don't know.
exactly. Yeah, but you're not struggling, are you? Whichever
No,
way you lead.
no. Yeah. Do you think we have enough songs? Oh my God, what don't we do? You're just like you've got a whole box set as soon as you put that
Yeah,
band together.
absolutely. Yeah, amazing.
But all they did
And that
was
was
didn't they just do 2 records?
I think, yeah, I think so. I mean, I came across those through my dad again,
Yeah.
and he loved the Traveling Wilburys, and I love that kind of sound as well. Anything like that, it's
Mhm.
a bit country, it's a bit southern. I mean, obviously they had a bit of everything in there.
Yes, they did.
I love stuff like the band and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff, and a lot of southern stuff, and there's a lot of great country out there at the moment as well. Some
Well,
fantastic.
yeah, I'm not a country fan, but we do a song by a band called oh good God. Okay. Wild Feathers. Have you ever heard of
Okay,
them?
no, no,
Yeah, they do a song that I love. It was as soon as I heard it, I do mine's a rock blues band.
okay, cool, yeah,
And
yeah.
so everything has to be bluesish at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but they had a song called Ain't Looking, and I'm like, that's perfect for our
See,
band.
a lot of that kind of stuff does lend it. So, it's not a million miles. I mean, some of it is, but a lot of the stuff these days, what I call sort of a bit more modern country, they're
Yes.
quite rocking. They're quite some of
Yeah.
the stuff's quite, and they're great players. Some of the players are fantastic players.
My God. Yeah. Like Paisley, Brad Paisley.
Yeah, yeah. When he starts chicken picking all up and down the guitar, and it's just like, oh, well, okay then. They are really, really great players. You've definitely learned the trade without a shadow of a
Absolutely.
doubt.
Absolutely. Well, I'll do this last one and then we'll get into this album.
Okay,
Here you go. This is a great one. This will be a good one
okay,
for your band to hear. Okay.
okay,
So, what is your favorite guilty pleasure classic? Now, when I say classic, I, I don't care if in my world it would be maybe Uriah Heep or Deep Purple, but
okay.
it could be the Partridge Family or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
think I
So,
think I've got one actually. I think I've got one.
well,
If I'm ever
let me finish here real quick.
okay,
So, what
okay.
favorite guilty pleasure classic you would love to cover?
Oh yeah.
Is it the same still?
No, I don't think so.
Then now I
Wow.
want to go back to what you were gonna say.
Well, what I was going to say was, if I'm ever feeling a bit down or if I need cheering up,
Yeah.
I always put an Earth, Wind and Fire live album on.
Oh, good Lord, yeah.
And I don't know what it is about it. It just they were great musicians, and the vocals are just insane. You listen to
Oh,
them, and
yeah.
you're like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
These were crazy, crazy good. And it's
Yeah,
not you wouldn't necessarily go to Wind and Fire, great band, but they were.
they
They
were.
really, really were.
Yeah.
So, and it's not really a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it, I suppose. I'm just trying to think it's a guilty pleasure that you could cover.
Yeah. Like, I'll give you an idea. So, like,
Okay.
I used to think, oh boy, this thing just I hate to say it, but it did. It just
Actually, I'll probably say, and I think it's a fantastic song,
yeah, yeah.
"Careless Whisper" by George Michael.
Oh, wow.
And I think somebody's already done a heavier, but I think Seether did a version actually.
They did. I know they did Careless Whisper.
Yeah, yeah,
No, is that what you're saying? Is that?
yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think it's a great song. I don't know
I
why
do
it's a
too.
good. I don't know why it's a guilty pleasure, but I
Yes.
suppose it's just because it's kind of outside of what I call my genre, I suppose. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, kind of like when they did the yeah, because I was getting ready to bring that to my band because
okay,
you know how blues is. Blues touches everything. It's
yeah.
it's
I mean,
funk,
you could get away with that without a
metal,
shadow of a doubt.
pop. Yeah, it's if it's
Um,
sad, you're lamenting. That's blues.
Yeah, I mean, I always thought it'd sound cool with it, you know, the saxophone part as a harmony guitar part, like a
Mhm.
Thin Lizzy style. I think it sound fantastic like that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Just just to give it that extra kick.
Absolutely. Well, now that we're finished with that, let me put this image up here because here's the brand new album by Hell's Addiction. It's called 9 O'Clock Horses.
It
Um,
is.
Now, what I'm going to do, and I don't think I did this yet, I'm copying this and then I'm going to put this in the chat here. And then I need to get to our comments and see who's chatting. But I'm going to put this in. I'm going to go to our comments section and
Okay,
I'm going to paste in this article. This is a link to an article that talks about the 9 O'Clock Horses
right.
and what it's all about. However, give us a quick little rundown.
Okay, so the backstory is, it's, I suppose the 9 o'clock horses is something, but when we wrote and recorded this album over the period of time, all 5 band members lost our fathers.
Hmm.
So we were looking for an album title, and we were just having a chat one day, and I can't remember who it was. One of us mentioned the 9 o'clock horses, and it's something. It's a bit of a, where we're from, Leicester. It's a bit of a Leicester legend and a myth, and back centuries ago, before we had waste management systems and things like that, you would have the 9 o'clock horses, guys on a horse and cart. They would come and collect the waste. And then what parents used to say to the children, you know, you better be in by 9 o'clock or the 9 o'clock horses will get you. Because what they apparently used to do, and this is
Oh, no, no,
any
no.
sort of stray children they'd find, they'd pick them up and take them to work on the farm. So kidnapped essentially. So they were sort of like the boogeyman essentially, the 9 o'clock horses. So your parents would threaten you, make sure you're back before 9 o'clock or the 9 o'clock horses will get you. We realized that all of our parents had used this on us as children. So we all had
Wow.
it in common. So it was kind of like, that's quite a cool connection, and it works as well because we all lost our fathers, and so it was
Yeah.
just so we sort of delved into that a little bit more, and I think it's quite a fitting title, really.
Yeah. Now, and it may that's a tough one, man. How are you doing with that? With your
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, we're all good now. We kind of it's kind of been a bit of therapy, I think, for everybody as well.
I would assume so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, it's kind of, we've had it sitting. We've had it sitting on the shelf for so long. It's because COVID came around, and
Yep.
so it was like, do we release it? It's like, well, if we PR it, then we can't tour it. So it was kind of, so we were in an R in for a while. So we've sat on it for quite some time, and it's just nice to get it out now and just sort of start getting some feedback. It's been really good. It's been really positive.
Yeah. I want to go through the I want to kind of go through the tracks with you if you don't mind, but
Yeah,
before I
yeah,
do that, um I I had another thought and now that escapes me.
yeah.
But I love when I do that. Uh
You're not on your own, I assure you.
right. Right. So so here we got Blake is with us today. We have my buddy Casey's with us. And Miss So is here. And
Okay.
that's me telling everybody check this link out. This will tell you like a bunch of that other backstory, and it's got a little bit of
Yeah, yeah,
artwork
yeah.
that's on there as well.
Cool.
But and then do you all I know what I wanted to say. Do you all still have your mums then?
We do. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I have my
Listen,
father still, but my mother has passed. So
yeah, it's just such a tough. You know, everybody reacts differently as well, and
mhm.
yeah, so it's been good to get the album out. It's been, you know, it's been a focus.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I think
That's great. I'm
it's
happy
definitely
that
been
you
some
all
form of
have each
therapy.
other too, you know,
Yeah,
being having that in common and being able to handle that as brothers,
exactly. Yeah,
literally.
exactly that. Yeah, I think the thing is, because it happened all in, you know, quite a small amount of time. Everybody was there for everybody, and you know, we kind of, everybody knew what everybody was going through. So you know, it was,
Mhm.
yeah. We've had time to heal, and it's been a healer doing the album, you know, and writing those songs and getting them out there. Definitely.
That's great. Yeah, it's like I always say, sometimes um, I had an experience with somebody who had lost a husband years ago, and it
Yeah.
was her first time out after that. And I said, you
Right.
know, I know you're upset, and I know these things happen, and I still feel things happen for a reason,
Yeah, yeah.
and yet I don't tell people that all the time because
No,
they
no,
don't.
I mean it's not so. It's not something people want to hear or digest at the time. I don't think, to be honest.
No,
Even though it has purpose in what you're saying for sure.
yeah,
But I just think people are so so hurt and cut up.
hmm
There's nothing really anybody can say. I mean, I think everybody feels they have to say something because that's our empathetic side, I guess.
yeah.
But
Well,
it's
and
yeah, it's
I think sometimes we don't want to act like we. There's that funny line, right?
yeah,
Where you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what do I
100%.
say? And at the same time, do they want me to say anything?
Exactly.
So
And then
sometimes,
you find yourself saying something without even realizing, because you just feel that it's a natural thing to do.
right?
And yeah, but it just takes time. It
Yeah,
just
and I think
that's
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 probably the reason. One of the best things to say is, "Look, I don't know what to say right now, but just I'm here if you need
yeah.
me. You
I
need a
think
listen."
that, and that's all people want to hear at the end of the day in that situation. Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then because I also wanted to say that so there's two brothers in the band. What
There
I'm going to
is.
do here is I'm going to put this up if I have this here. Oh, I thought I had a more recent one here, a more inclusive shot of the whole band. I have the old shot. Well, you know what? No, let's just put this back up.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Is that is that correct still? This is this lineup?
That's the correct lineup. So there's Dan on the right, there's myself, there's my brother Ben, who's a singer in the middle, Jason the bass player, and then there's Luke the drummer on the left. Yep.
Okay, good. Cool. Very good. Yeah. So let's get into this 9 o'clock horses. Let's
Okay.
start talking about this. Now, the album opens with Leave It Alone,
It does.
uh, which is a killer tune to start with.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
and here in the States, I know that it's very popular, and I know that my wife is going to be interested, and probably the rest of my family, in the answer to this next one. Upside
Okay.
Down follows it, and you guys, this is a big talking point for probably a lot of people in our audience, that um, you had some actual audio from the show,
We did, yeah, yeah, from Stranger
from
Things, yeah,
Stranger
yeah.
Things.
We were toying with the idea of this song, and we all are big fans of Stranger Things, as I think most people around the planet are. It's such a great show, and
Mhm.
great soundtrack as well. The right on the money when it comes to that sort of thing, definitely. So we were watching that, and we got this music that was kind of different. It kind of had a bit of a darker feel to it.
Mhm.
So we had the idea or Ben had the idea of writing about Stranger Things, and the upside down came around, and then we had the idea of trying to see if we could cut some audio out and sort of, because there's like a bit of a musical section in the center of the song before it builds up into the little harmonized solo, and
Yeah.
we thought if we could get some snippets in there, which we did. Then we contacted Netflix, and we had to get permission from their lawyer to use the audio, which they were fine by, which was great. Um, we weren't allowed to use any of the visuals, obviously,
Gotcha.
which we were fine with. So we can't. Yeah, we got away with it.
We- have you had a chance? I'm sure you have, more than likely. I'm certain there's a good part of you that's a Maiden fan.
Do you know what? It's one band. I've seen them. They're
Mhm,
fantastic live. I just,
mhm.
I just never got it. I don't know why. I,
Really?
but then I love Saxon. So it's kind of like, well, I know it's strange. I don't know what it is about. I know how good they are. They are brilliant, but it just doesn't grab me. I don't know why. But then something like 747 Stranger in the Night does, which is not very, too dissimilar from any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah,
That's outstanding. I love it. I love it. Well, one of my favorite stories is Steve Harris talking about
yeah,
getting the audio for The Prisoner,
right, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and how he
Yeah.
went through that. And he's like, "I'm really talking to the guy." It's like, wow, you know.
I think
Um,
ours was all done over email, I think, to be honest. But it was just cool. It was cool that they responded, to be fair.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
you
been
know.
going on for years. In fact, I was just talking about Guns N' Roses appearing in the Dirty Harry flick, you
Right,
know,
yeah, yeah.
in the Deadpool, but
Yep.
now more recently, Mastodon was in Game of Thrones, you know.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, they were huge fans of that. I know there's been photos out there of Scott Ian of Anthrax on
Right.
the Battlestar Galactica set.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Cool.
it's pretty cool. I mean, sometimes our dreams come true, right?
You never know. You never know. I mean, we've tried to push it to people there to have a listen to it. Whether anybody has, I don't know. But it was, yeah, to get back to the point. Sorry, so we got this song kicking, this music kicking around, and it was like you can probably tell from the album, we take a lot of influences from the kind of 80s kind of scene, and
Yeah.
we love. Like we were talking earlier about, you were talking about English, British music and American music. We love a lot of the American kind of 80s through to the 90s kind of stuff. LA Guns, Guns N' Roses, all that kind of stuff. So there is certainly a good amount of that in our sound. But this song was a little bit darker. So I remember sitting in practice. We were in practice one night writing it, and I don't know who said it. One of us said, we need to try to make it like a gothic Def Leppard or something if we can. Whether it came out anywhere near that, I'm not entirely sure, but it's different.
Yeah, you don't always have to know that. That's not something you have to know, right? You just, when it comes out in the end, you're like, well, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. I think we kind of got what we were going for. It's it's strange because you have I suppose you have a vision in your mind, but then there's also 4 other people in the room that have their vision in their mind, and then you're trying to tangle them all together and twist them up to make it sound good. And I think we got there in the end. There's always the occasional argument, being 2 brothers in the band and what, but Ben usually wins. He's about a foot taller than me, so I can't argue with him.
he is a tall individual.
He's a big guy, yeah.
You can see there, right there in the middle there. A tall individual right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, who's older? Who's younger?
I'm older. Ben's younger.
Gotcha. Then we're gonna follow that up with "Scream Your Name," which that's one of those tunes that really starts bringing this into a wider scope.
100%. Yep, absolutely. It's very melodic. It's very we went for a Sunset Strippy kind of vibe, like a melodic-y, just plods along kind of almost collegey kind of song, I guess. It's it's got a bit of everything. Dan played a great guitar solo in that. It's a very kind of Vito Bratta kind of EVH kind of thing going on. And funnily enough, when he recorded that solo in the studio, he just first take on that solo, which was the solo that's on the album.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dan's favorite guitarist of all time was Edward Van Halen, and he recorded that solo. He got a text message in his back pocket, looked at his phone. It was my brother texting him saying Eddie Van Halen's just died. And he just recorded that solo, and Matt Ellis, who produced the album, turned around and went, "Well, that's the one." So so kind of fated, really, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the one life for another kind of a thing. Just a little bit of
and it's it's perfect. It's perfect for the song as well. I think Dan's immensely proud of it and should be.
That's outstanding, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's cool. That's the stuff I love about music. Those little moments,
Yes. It's those, and especially like you were saying, where you have multiple people in the studio, multiple people who are interested in. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. I really shouldn't say interested in, because a lot of times in certain bands, people are interested in helping or contributing, but other people handle that.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily get to contribute. But when you do have those, it's magical.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine.
It's those moments that you always remember. It's those moments you always remember. And that's a nice little piece to that song, that little story. It adds to it, definitely.
And that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to go through the tracks, because I've learned within the through the years that when you hear the artist talk about it a
Mhm.
little bit, you're like, oh, I get. Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then you start noticing things that you perhaps wouldn't have picked. Yeah, yeah,
Right, right. I always use Boston as one of those because I thought one of the ballads was. I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's a good song.
yeah.
It's a ballad, though. Okay. But then Tom says, "Well, I kind of wrote it about me and my son," and I was like, "Oh, okay, now I'm
It's
in."
yeah, completely changes the perspective. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. What about "Crying Over Me"?
This was this song, piecing it together. We had to write it down on a whiteboard where we were going with it because we were just trying to piece it together, and it's a bit of a crazy arrangement, to be honest.
Hmm.
Well, especially for us, if you're looking into prog bands and stuff, it's not crazy at all. But for
Right.
us, it's kind of it jumps around all over the shop, but it flows.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so it took a little while to piece together, but I do love that song. It's got that's got a bit of everything, definitely.
Yeah. There's definitely there's some songs in this album. When I was listening to it, I'm like, we could do that song
Cool.
in my band. I'm thinking, yep, that's something we could do. What about your Master Plan comes next? Track number 6.
Yeah, now this was I think we finished this the day before we went in the studio to record it, or the night before.
Really?
We'd had it knocking around for a while, and we couldn't quite work out where it wanted to go, and do we just leave it, do we build it up, do gradually build it up, and then we just kind of got this configuration for the song, and we played it through maybe 2 or 3 times. We're like, right, that's got to be it, we're in the studio tomorrow. and it just fell into place, and it's just a lovely song. I think it's a
Yeah.
really nice. It's got a great build up. Another fantastic guitar solo from Dan again. He's got a real kind of GNR vibe, like a "Don't Cry" kind of thing, I think, as it builds up. And yeah, it's just a real
Wow.
nice builder of a song, that one is.
Wow. Save Me comes next.
Yeah, now that's kind of a bit of a punch in the face, in comparison to some of the others.
Which is great. I don't
Yeah,
feel,
yeah.
when you're talking and when you're mentioning these aspects of some of these songs, when I listen to this record, it has like you said, has a great flow. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
as a listener, as a fan, a new fan, so I'm not going, I've been with these guys forever, and this is, I'm gonna.
Yep.
No, I enjoy this record as a new listener, this is my first full record,
Yep.
and I'm like, no, it's got a good flow. I'm not like, well, okay, it's
And
just
I
the way
think that was one of our biggest concerns. It was like, we put all these songs together. Are they going to kind of sit together? And they just, I think we've been very lucky in our song choices of where they are on the album. It does seem to flow really, really nicely.
Yes.
And that's such a tough decision. We could sit there and argue that out for hours on end, and I think we just got to a point where we probably had argued it out for quite some time, and then it was like, right, yeah, okay, let's go with it. And it just seems to work really well. But Save Me is it's just a nice big drop D tuned riff. It just keeps flowing around and rolling around.
Yeah.
And it's just a real hooky chorus, I think, as well. Real hooky chorus. Yep. Yep.
I know I want to talk a little bit too after we get through this, because we're pretty close to the end on this one. I want to talk a little bit about like vocal styles and that kind of thing that appear on this record. Let's see. Give Me a Sign is next.
Okay. That's like it's a bit of an AC/DC kind of nod, I suppose, the chorus to that. It plods along at a nice pace. It's just nice and riffy, and I think the vocal styles as well. I mean, Ben's I think he's really found his voice on this album.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's kind of I mean, he was not trained as a singer or anything like that. I mean, we put this band together. When we put this band together, Ben wasn't even a singer; he was a guitarist,
Oh
and
yeah, right.
he just said, "I want to have a go at singing." It's like, okay, then we booked a rehearsal space. He opened his mouth, and we were like, "Jesus Christ, where did that come from?"
It's like when why can't I say his name? It's like when John oh, come on, Stewart. Whitesnake.
Oh, John Sykes.
John Sykes. It's like when he opened his mouth in Blue Murder, you're like, what the hell you been
Yeah,
doing?
exactly. Yeah.
What you sound very much like Dave. Like
Yeah,
David
they're great
Coverdale.
records. But the Blue Murder stuff, Valley of the Kings, or Valley was it Valley of the Kings or Valley of the
Valley of
Knights?
the
Can't remember.
Kings.
Yeah. Cracking, brilliant.
Holy shit. Where you been hiding, bro? Come on.
Yep. I mean, John Sykes, fantastic musician and player, and I think he's very undersold in the White Snake story. I think, to be honest,
Yep. Very,
but
very. Yeah.
I'm sure he's made his
Now
bones
the
with it
next
now.
one is one that it's called Love, which is this is one of those when you said a good kind of overall and a good how did you describe it when you said it's a new about what it can do? It'll cross over, it'll
Yeah, I think it just opens new doors as well,
yeah,
especially with Ben again, because we've never recorded anything like that. It really shows off his voice.
yes.
I mean, Dan's a great singer with his backings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so something completely different for us. It was just let's
Mm-hmm.
just let this breathe through the verses, and we'll bring it in at the end, and that's all it needs. It was like we don't need a big middle eight or anything like that. It'll just let it do the talking, really.
Yeah. And as far as like an American something that a band, we were talking about, we did it earlier again with UK and American bands,
Yep.
loving what each other does.
Hmm.
It's kind of a Tesla-ish kind of a thing to me.
Absolutely, which is great for me because it's one of my all-time favorite bands, Tesla. Yeah, I love Tesla. We all do. Jason, the bass player, is a big Tesla fan.
Mm.
It's definitely got that vibe in there, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I heard that, especially today, I listened to the album a couple of times today and I'm like, yeah, that's right in there. That's right in there.
Thank you.
Playing chicken with a knife.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
from love to
Yeah,
playing chicken
exactly. Yeah.
with a knife. That's beautiful.
That says it all, really, don't it?
I love playing chicken with a knife. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great title. It takes a couple of seconds to take it in, I think, as well, when you first kind of read it. Okay, I get
I
it.
got to admit, I threw myself right there for a second. I was like, oh yeah, right.
But I think that's just a real. To me, that reminds me of Whitesnake. I don't know why. It's just got it in the verse. The bass
So
kind of
like,
just plugs along, and it's just.
yes. So let me ask you this, since I know that you mentioned Bernie Marsden earlier.
Yeah.
When you say that, are we talking pre 87, pre John Sykes Whitesnake? Or
I'd say kind of Saints and Sinners era. I think something
yeah,
around there. So you're
there
talking
you go.
Marsden and Moody, yeah.
Yeah. Great
Which was my
CD
favorite.
set.
Which is my favorite era to be. I mean, I love all Whitesnake stuff, but the Ready and Willing era and all that kind of stuff. Just perfect.
I'll tell you what, it is one hell of a bargain. That Little Box of Snakes CD collection.
Yeah.
Oh dear Lord. All those
I mean,
remastered early albums.
they wrote some serious songs as well. Really cracking songs when you look back.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that they released that early live album with Bernie and the guys.
Yeah, 1978, I think it was, at the Hammersmith Odeon.
Yeah,
That's
I'd had it on vinyl, but mine
that's my
was only a
second.
single.
I think that's my second favorite live album. I do love that album.
Yeah. And so do you have it on vinyl?
I do have it on vinyl. Yeah.
Is yours a single or a double?
Oh,
Because I'm wondering if that's like a UK release, the double, or is it a?
it might be a double actually. It's live in the heart of the city, isn't it? I think it's called.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we do Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City
Okay.
in my
Yeah. Good
band,
track.
and because Supersonic's Supersonic Blues Machine
Yeah,
covered,
yeah.
and
Okay.
and that's kind of the version that we do, but I still can't help it because I heard it first from Whitesnake. I still
Yeah,
sing it
yeah.
like David Coverdale.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't help it. I'm like,
I
yeah,
mean, I've seen a few different people play. Yeah, Glenn Hughes always did a great version of that as
oh
well.
yeah.
I mean, I've seen Glenn a few times, and he's just phenomenal. He's like, what is he now? What is he, 74 or something?
Yes.
And his voice is still pitch perfect.
Good
His
God.
his voice is, and his bass playing, on top of that as well. It's just
Right.
it's out this world. I mean, you hark back to the old Purple days of when they had Coverdale and him together doing things like Burn, and you just, my God, that must have sounded, well, I know it sounded fantastic because you can hear it
Well,
on the
yeah.
record, but yeah,
Isn't it great?
to have been there would have been quite special, I think.
Oh, you're not kidding. You're not
Mm.
kidding. Yeah, we did Burn a couple of times in one of my former bands, and
Yeah, it's great sound.
man, because it was great because I got a buddy of mine who had that Glenn Hughes is a huge
That
influence
kind of
on him.
that big high falsetto when he hits that, yeah. I mean, that's not. I think if you can sing that way, it's not a hugely difficult thing to do. But holding the note like that and staying on point is, especially when you're playing and you're moving around. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it's just that, when that chorus comes in, it's like a wall of sound with the vocals as well, because it's just like layered
yeah,
and shot straight at you off the stage, and it's great.
yes. And how odd that I want to, as soon as you say that, how odd, speaking of the 80s, that I want to relate that to the B-52s in the
Okay.
song Love Shack. I mean, those women in that band are like a horn section.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. When they hit that note and they sing
Yeah.
those lines in that song,
Yeah.
it's just
You
like
can't. I mean, if you get two or three good harmony singers together, and more, there's no sound like it. There's nothing.
no,
It's such a powerful thing, and
no,
it's something you can either do or you can't. But when
yeah,
it's done properly, it's such a
yeah.
great sound.
Makes me want to jump right back to talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's it right there. The wall of sound.
Yep.
Now, the last two tunes, Stare into the Sun and
Hmm.
Cannot Hide. Tell me about Stare into the Sun.
Staring at the sun. That was. I think that was a little riff that Dan had originally. It just came around, but it's kind of. I don't know if it's a bit Zeppelin, a bit Led Zeppelin in the verses, maybe. I don't know. It just kind of trundles along, and then all of a sudden the bridge and the chorus comes in, and I think there's a bit of Ozzy in the bridge, and then a bit UFO in the chorus again, maybe. That's how I kind of figure
Dude,
that one out.
I'm not a salad eater, but if that was a salad, I would eat it.
You'd be all over it.
I'd be like, all I need is I don't know if I need anything else. I might just
No,
that's it.
it works for me. And then Cannot Hide is just it's just a little 3-minute classic rocker, really. A bit of a party rocker. It rocks along nicely. I think it's a
Yeah,
nice little song to finish the album on. We were looking, should we put a ballad on the end? And we said, no, let's leave them, with something that's got a bit of stomping, and
dude,
hopefully they want more.
I am, I'm so glad to hear you say that because there was an album I was privy to before its release, and it's been a couple of years now, but I was listening and I'm like, where is this song on the record? And they were like, well, it's going to be here. I go, that's your last song.
Yeah.
And it did not end up there, but I'm like,
Right.
that's your last song.
Yeah.
But
I think it's all too easy to kind of just end it with it. Oh, it's a lovely slow song. It finished the album lovely, and it probably would. But you kind of want to be like, you want to go out on a bit of a bang, and then
yes.
hopefully it kind of sits in people. And it's a catchy little chorus, a catchy little song. It plods along nicely. I think it's probably one of my favourite songs to play live as well. It kind of gives me Cinderella vibes a little bit. Aerosmith and Cinderella, which are two bands that I love as well. Cinderella was so overlooked. I always thought.
Yes.
kind
Yes.
of because of the way they looked, I think, more than anything. That Long Cold Winter album and Heartbreak Station, they're fantastic records. You
Yeah,
took it
Long
kind of,
Cold Winter right in the middle. What a
yeah,
sound.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
a
stunning. I mean, Tom Kiefer, just
oh,
great. I mean, I
yes.
think he had it rough as well. He had a lot of throat surgeries, he had a lot of problems, and he's still coming back and he's still sounding great. I mean, some of his solo stuff's really good as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very I was sad when Jeff passed. However, as a fan and as uh somebody who likes to have that personal thing, and oddly enough,
Yeah.
we just talked about this earlier. Um I had the good fortune of seeing his son Christian in Tantric right
Oh, okay.
after that happened.
Right.
Um, and it was
I didn't realize his son played in Tantric. Great band as well.
Mhm. Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, Breakdown, I think.
Yeah.
Was that the album or one of the tracks they had?
Yes, I do believe
Yeah.
so. I'd have to double check. I haven't been a fan of theirs for long. I mean, it was just I hadn't heard of them until I knew
Because
they were
they've got
coming to
kind of they're a bit kind of alternative grungy, aren't they? They've got that kind of
Mhm.
sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Breakdown, yeah, Tantric Breakdown. I remember the album
Yeah.
because I had a good period of time listening to that. Very,
Yeah.
very good album.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Really good. And like I say, I felt happy to be able to say hello to him, meet him,
Yeah.
and give my condolences.
Mm.
Because I met Jeff a few different times.
Okay.
I interviewed the Tom on the Long Cold Winter album, and
Right.
then I would meet Jeff. My wife and I would meet Jeff at that time, and then
Oh, cool.
subsequently at another show, and then I would meet up with Jeff and Eric again when they were doing Naked Beggars.
Okay.
So
I've not
they
heard that actually.
hmm
I have to look into that.
yeah, it's good stuff. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
They put out
Okay.
2 CDs, I do believe. So I have
Right.
them both.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
check that out.
Yeah. Now, real quick, also, I want to talk about the name of the band. Where did the name of the band come from? I was talking to a coworker about this today, and how
The
I
name.
perceived the title or the name. Go ahead.
Okay. It was Jason, the bass player, was out jogging, I think, running,
Hmm.
which is not something that we do very often, if we can
Oh,
help
come
it.
on, Liam. I do it
Yeah,
every day.
unless there's a bar in front of us, anyway. It's about the only place we run to.
You have to
Um,
run to the pub, right? To get.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, Jason was out running, and we've all liked to party in the past and things, and we've all had certain issues with certain things, and I think it just sums us up. We're cheeky guys. We like to have fun. We like to have a good time. Sometimes we like to have too much of a good time, so we have to rein ourselves in a bit, and it kind of just comes from that, really.
Okay. All right. For me, in my belief, where I stand on my beliefs and stuff,
Hmm.
is I'm like, no, that's pretty much what we are. We're if that's the way you believe in a Christian way with a heaven and a hell, then that's what hell's addiction is. It's like
Yeah,
it's me
I mean
on the ring.
it's a strange one as well because it's a kind of name that I think people remember, and I think with the name Hell's Addiction, they have to check it out and look into it because they don't know whether it's a metal band, whether it's a rock band, and it's kind of like, so it's a nice draw in that respect, I think, because I've seen bands in the past. I remember years ago when Alter Bridge first came over to
Hmm.
to the UK,
Hmm.
and they had an Irish band supporting them called The Answer.
Hmm.
Um, Great band, but I was like, never heard of them, didn't know what it was all about. First thing I had to do was Google them because I was that The Answer. That's going to be a real heavy band because I know Mark Tremont. He likes quite a lot of heavier stuff.
Yeah.
Turned out they weren't. They were an Irish blues rock and roll band, and they were
Well, there you
great.
go.
But that kind of name pulled me in straight away. I was like, I need to find out more. And I think that kind of our name has that kind of quality to it, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Which whether they love it or hate it, that they've looked at it, and that's the kind of, they know what it is, and that's so that's nice. That works in our favor, I think, definitely.
Yeah. And especially when you abbreviate the band name, it's Ha. Oh,
Yeah,
it's the same as mine. Hammer Away, Hell's Addiction. It's the same.
exactly.
We're going to get confused. We're not going to. Wait, you just wrote HA on here. What is this his or yours? Um, that's great. The answer. So I do have to ask you now because you mentioned that. Are you a Horselips fan?
I've never heard of Horselips.
Shut your mouth.
No, seriously.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really want you to
Horselips?
shut your mouth, but
No, okay.
no, okay,
All
click
right.
goodbye.
Okay, so tell me about Horselips. That's
Oh,
interesting.
Horselips. They're from Dublin, and
Okay.
they are they're a band that sometimes I've asked this question in a lightning round. What is that band that you love, but you only have one record by them? And
Okay.
that's Horselips.
Okay. Well, I'll go for one and I'll go pick another Irish band. And
Yes.
that was Jaded Sun. I think it's called
Jaded.
Gypsy Trip, the album.
Oh,
It was good. It was a great album.
Jaded Sun. What year was that?
Oh, now you're asking. I would
See,
say it's got to be between 10 and 15 years old, I'd imagine.
okay, all right,
So,
cool.
so probably like mid 2000s, maybe somewhere around there, maybe a bit late
Yeah,
2010.
yeah.
But I never heard anything. I mean, they may well have carried on. I don't know.
Mhm.
But just this one album seemed to appear from nowhere, and it was great.
Well, see, and that's the man who built America for me. If you want to check out Horselips, I could say start earlier just
Right.
because it's worth it. But
Okay.
if you want to jump in and go, oh, what that guy from that show do? What did Viking Stew do about that? And you say, just jump in on Man Who Built America, and
I
then
will
kind of
do that.
they had a bit of stuff after that, but all this other stuff, when oh hell, what was the thing that why can't I say it? It's Metallica got all pissed off about Napster.
Oh, Napster.
Um,
Yeah.
when that was all going on, I was looking, I go, ooh, Horselips. I'm going to look up Horselips.
Okay.
And there's
Okay.
all this stuff. I'm like, certainly this isn't the same band because this stuff doesn't sound like that stuff.
Yeah.
This has got this whole old world feel to it. And I'm like, what's
Okay.
going on? Nope, it was them.
Right.
They came up through the ranks and did a bunch of like they took a lot of classic traditional Irish music and
Okay.
worked it into their stuff. And it was
Fused it all in.
bloody amazing. It's
Right. I'll be checking
fantastic.
those out then. Horselips. Okay.
Yeah, no E, just HORSLIPS.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they were drinking and they wanted to call it the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It wouldn't have fit them. I don't know who would have listened to it,
No.
but they had a
The
drunk
Four
buddy.
Horsemen. That was another great band.
Yeah, Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
My buddy told me about that. I bought it at a pawn shop the next day. And
Okay.
like,
Rocking is my business.
yes, and business
What a
is
record.
yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, it is a great record. And that's the one I found. It was on CD at a pawn shop. I'm like, whoop,
Yeah.
there's that band he was talking about.
Excellent from start to finish. That is.
It's a great record.
Mm.
Great record. But yeah, but then a friend of theirs goes, you got to just call it the Four Pox of the Horselips. That's what he said. And they're like, what? Well, now wait a minute. Why don't we just call it Horselips?
Yeah. Fair enough.
The Four Pox of the Horselips. So yeah. So anyway, Horselips. That's that. But moving on back to the band. Tell me about a couple of the earlier, and I'm going to rewatch this and go, oh, I never finished that thought. And that's okay. But tell me about you've had, this one is your third full length, right?
It is. Yeah. Yep. Third full length album. Yep.
In the meantime, you guys had what, 2 EPs?
Well, yes, we did Statutory Nuisance and we did the V1 EP, yeah, in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this, We're on Fire, that's one of your tracks, right?
That's off the Statutory Nuisance EP. Yep.
That's right. Yep. Okay, good. So I'm not going to sit here and go, yeah, tell me about those whole first 2 records. I'm not doing that. But what have you pulled from, what do you think is some of the most precious things that is Hell's Addiction that you held on to and still brought with you, that are the most important things that you would love to tell new fans and, that you would like them to know that you brought with you that you kept into this new album? If it's that easy.
Right. Goodness. I think the attitude's still there. You know, that's
That okay.
that raw kind of unapologetic. You know, it's not a trend thing for us. You
Okay.
know, we're way past that age. We love writing what we do,
Mhm.
and we don't really get swayed by stuff. I don't think it's kind of we just kind of if we love it, uh, then we think we hope that our fans will love it because they come and see us and they like what we do, and it seems to be a positive. Our sound has changed over the time. Natural is a natural progression, but it seems like a positive progression. The feedback's been fantastic. I just think staying true to yourself, to be honest,
I would
is
I would say the same thing. I've
yeah,
heard that from a lot of people when I'm talking about great records like this. I'm
yeah,
just like,
because
yeah.
it's a funny business, and it's not and I don't say it's business like we make money off of it because we don't. We all work, we all have day jobs,
Mhm.
um, but it's people can be swayed by so many different things, especially you're younger, you're chasing the dream and blah 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 blah, and
Mhm.
people say, well, if you did it this way and blah blah blah, and I'm sure every band under the sun's had it. Somebody's come along and said, if only you did this, and you get to a point where you listen for a year or two, and then you
Mhm.
think, nah, this is our thing. Just
Mhm.
get out of it. Get out of my face. We're going to do it, and that's how we are. And not in a nasty or a horrible way. It's
Yeah.
just kind of this is our ship, and we're going to steer it. So yeah.
I wonder if you feel the same about this thing that I've been talking about in the last couple of years. I mentioned it when I was talking to Tantric. I've talked to a lot of people about it, but people talk a lot about the music industry, right? And
Hmm.
how it isn't what it used to be. And I'm like, I didn't know a lot of people that I talked to back then who were in love with the music industry. Um,
Exactly.
and I've often spoken, and someday my audience is going to tell me, "Shut up." But they haven't yet. So, that's good.
Good.
But I talk more about musicians and bands like yourself, especially as you get a little older and get a little wiser and
Yeah,
less
yeah.
interested in being a puppet than
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of politics involved behind the scenes, and I never got into it for that, and it still doesn't interest me now, really. I think if you get to a certain level, there's things you need to know. You need to know how to protect yourself, from
yes.
various different things as a business angle. But we're not at that stage,
Mhm.
and look, we're quite happy just we like doing what we do, and we're not very good as doing as we're told. We never have been. We never will be. So we just create our own little world, really, and live in that.
Yeah. Well, and if you'll probably agree with me on this, that over the years, as we saw many bands who gave us that feeling,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we felt that from them when they started, but then as they
yeah,
moved on in the industry, we're like, I still like you guys, but we're not on the same
exactly.
level anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
You're here now, I'm thought of down here
yeah.
because
It's
they're being
I,
swayed.
I generally love bands that kind of just that might stick out like a sore thumb, and bands like Jellyfish
Mhm.
and Cry of Love is another one for me, which I think
Oh, yes.
that first album with Audley Freed and it was just, and Badlands another one, the first, yeah. So all that kind of stuff, and like I say, a bit I kind of I like the underdog in everything. I like to find something that I think is as good as what the pinnacle is of what people could say is, Guns N' Roses or whatever it may be. I like to go,
Mhm.
yeah, but what about Heavy Bones? Or what about Badlands or Cats in Boots? People go, who? I'm kind of, and that makes me feel good because I feel like I'm in on that little secret. But it's not a
Right.
secret, obviously. People know about it, but the ones that kind of never break through but should have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely. I just had a thought. So I'm gonna share that with you afterwards. You hang with me
Okay.
after we go
Yeah,
off
yeah, yeah.
live, and then I got something cool to think about that I'm
Okay.
going to do for you. Um,
Okay.
uh, let's see. I oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. The Midnight Devils, which are from the Midwest here, were just
Hmm.
at HRH where you guys were.
They were, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so how was that? How was that festival?
That festival was excellent, actually. Our paths didn't cross, unfortunately. I think they were on a different day to us. We
That's
we
possible.
played up.
I remember reading your name. I was like, "Whoa, Hell's Addiction."
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking to these
We
guys. This is great.
so we played on the Friday.
Mhm.
So we all had the day off work. We drove down. So we stayed over. We had a caravan. We had accommodation. It was brilliant. It was a great show.
Man.
I think it's the second time we've been down there to HRH in Great Yarmouth, and we played the main room, and it was packed out. It was great.
Wow.
We had a great response. Yeah, really, really good.
How many
Um,
tracks did you get to play when you did that?
I think we did 45 minutes. We did.
Nice.
So we got about 9 or 10 tracks in there. Yeah, and it went down a storm. Um, we're noticing people singing the songs back and things now, and people are really sort of diving into it head first, which is brilliant for us.
Right. Right. Which is also interesting that you're working with Dave Tedder, who's got Head First.
Exactly.
Kind of weird. It's one of my favorite records too by the Babies. I love that album. What a
Yeah, yeah.
if do you have that record?
I don't know, no, but I think I have heard it. I've heard it, but I don't own
Dude,
it. No.
I would highly suggest it. It's
Yep.
getting it. I've had it since it came out, and every song on it is brilliant. I love it. It's
It's
such a great,
rare. Albums like that rare, but when you find them, they're yeah, keep
yes.
them close by.
They're what I call great albums. That one would be on my list of great albums.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Hmm.
there's those albums that are good albums,
Yeah.
but when you put it on, you're like, should I listen to that I say it all the time, Bark at the Moon. It's
Right.
it's a
Okay.
good album. It's got
Hmm.
great songs. It's
Yep.
not a great album because when I put it on, I'm not going to go, "Ooh, I can't wait till So Tired comes on."
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I know. I hear you. I get what you mean.
I'm
Yeah.
like, there's that track that just makes me not want to listen to the record. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. We've all got. It's like I mentioned, "Cry Love" earlier. I mean, that first album. You don't skip a track on that. Well, I don't anyway. It's just
nope,
that gets played, and
nope.
that's to me gets put in the great section definitely.
Yeah.
And there
Blizzard,
is,
same. I put
yeah,
Blizzard in there and put Diary in there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Operation Mind Crimes like that for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
Jeff Tate. Wow.
yeah. Have you listened to Camelot? Are you a Camelot fan?
I've not. No, no.
Oh,
I may be a fan, but I certainly haven't listened.
yeah. Epica is the album that I started with, and that's a
Okay,
great album. It's the first
okay,
half. The Black Halo follows it. It's the story of Faust, is what it is.
okay, okay.
Both albums are great, unlike Operation Mindcrime 2.
Yeah, yeah.
And it had Dio on it, damn it.
Did it really?
Yes, and it still couldn't make it. I'm like,
Ah, yeah.
really? This is what we're gonna get? Okay. All right.
That first one was a corker though. Operation Minecraft was great.
God, you ain't kidding.
Still is, still sounds fantastic now.
Yes. There's songs that I'll put on. I'm just like, I want to sing to this in the car right now.
Yeah.
Just do it. Hit play.
Yep.
And when it's done, what do we have a 2.5 hour trip. Okay, we'll be listening to this twice.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
I remember it had a sticker on it, I think over 60 minutes worth of music. You're like, wow.
Some bang for your buck.
Yes. Speaking of bang for your buck, now you guys with 9 O'Clock Horses, you've released it digitally, right?
It did get released digitally, yes. We've had an issue with production of our CDs. So
Okay.
we had pre-orders that were
Yeah.
already bought and paid for that should have received their CDs before it got put out on digital platforms. Now, unbeknown to us, overnight we woke up and it had been released, and we couldn't stop it. The machine, being part of the big machine.
Yes.
It's once that button's pressed, it just there's no way of retracting it back or anything like that.
Okay.
So we apologise profusely over social media to our fans, who were great, very understanding. It's one of those things. Our CDs got held up, I think, in Portugal, We've just received them today. I've just seen on our band chat that come through. So all the pre-orders will be going out first thing tomorrow. And then just we need to get booking gigs and tours, then really get Christmas out of the way and get cracking.
Right. So are you guys looking forward to so if you go to the website, I put up I think I put up some links.
Yep.
Check them out. They have all kinds of packages that you can order. There's long sleeve t-shirts, there's hoodies,
there's hoodies, all sorts of different things. Yep.
And you have the combination packages still, right?
Yeah, I think there's still some combos going. Yep.
Yeah, because I know they're out there, and that's what I was looking at.
Yep.
And everything is in there in pounds. But it runs smoothly, I'm sure.
It does, yeah.
So, but get out there and definitely check out Hell's Addiction's website, and then check out their shop, because you can get the vinyl, you can get the CD, you can get the vinyl and CD and a shirt.
Yep.
All kinds of packages.
Various different bundles. Yep. It's definitely worth looking. For sure.
And these days, so is it a single vinyl, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, I've not seen one yet. They are being produced, I think, probably as we speak, to be honest.
Okay.
But yes, it will be a single vinyl.
Yeah. Okay. Because the albums, the full length of the album is 50 minutes and 39 seconds. It says that's what it says on Spotify.
Okay, I'm going to say I have to believe you there, because I think you've got more knowledge on that than I have.
And it was only because I did the complete math in about seconds. Like that. No, right at the top it told me that. So
yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So trust me, from me looking at the screen, from my mouth to you, there was no math. That's just what it said. So we both found out at the same time.
Yep. Perfect.
But how about that? Is that what's that do to you when you think 50 minutes and 39 seconds worth of music?
Yeah. Do you know, just thinking back to when we recorded our first album, I think it was 10 tracks and it was about 31 minutes long. So yeah, it's quite cool. I mean, that just shows the developmental part of the songwriting, I suppose, and the process. Yeah,
you kind of went from a Kiss record to Hysteria.
I mean, yeah, that first record was full on, 10 3-minute Motorhead tracks, basically, where there are tracks, but you just thrash it out and get in the pub. Now it's a bit more, what's the word? What am I looking for?
It's a production value. That's
what it's a bit more thought out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, wow. And I just thought about it. They were saying that about the vinyl in the 80s, speaking of the vinyl. When we're talking about that, they were talking about how, in the 80s, some of these albums, they were getting too long and the grooves were too tight.
Yeah.
On the sides, because so it got a little but I just realized you just took a drink. What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Scrumpy Jack.
Oh, look at that. You know what I loved about touring over there? Not touring. We took a tour, like we were sightseers, not music. But what I loved about it was going to the pubs, and the distributors just give them glasses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Here they buy them.
Okay.
So they don't just.
Well, you come to the UK, you go around somebody's house, and they give you a drink in a pint glass. You can guarantee it's been borrowed from the pub.
Absolutely. I'd be ready to go home, take it, wash it, and bring it back. And I wouldn't even expect a free refill, but I mean, I'd be like, I still got my glass. Don't worry about it. I'm good to go. Yeah.
Everybody in the UK has a pint glass from the pub.
Yeah. We ended up with a Smittix glass and a few different ones. It was wonderful. Do you like Guinness?
I love Guinness. Yeah.
My wife likes Guinness more than I do.
Really?
Which I just love.
I'll tell you what made me like it. I never used to drink Guinness, and then obviously we have St. Patrick's Day, as you do in the States, I presume, as well. Yeah. And typically, being English and most of us loving a drink, we decide that we're going to celebrate somebody else's. But anyway, so we go out, and it would be, I go to the pub, and it'd be like, right, drink 6 pints of Guinness, you can have a free T-shirt. So I thought, right, I better start drinking Guinness. And that's how it started.
It was so innocent.
Yeah. 2 pints in. I was thinking, this is all right. 4 pints later, I got a T-shirt.
How weird that I woke up this morning, looked in my dresser drawer, and thought, I need a T-shirt right about there.
Yep.
And
So
then here,
yes, I've drank Guinness ever since. Yeah, no, it's lovely stuff.
my dreams were almost fulfilled. All I had to do was drink 6 pints. Wouldn't you?
And then I went back
that?
next year and got a hat. We never learn.
We had the good fortune during that trip to go to the Guinness brewery.
Oh, I've done it myself. Yeah.
It's great. It's
St James's Gate in Dublin. Yeah,
it's fantastic, and the whole middle of it is a big pint
yeah,
glass.
yeah. And then you got the sky. Is it the Sky Bar on the top where you go afterwards and have a pint? Yep.
And you pour the perfect pint.
Yep.
Yeah. So we poured our perfect pints, but it was 10:30 in the morning, which it means something to my wife, but it doesn't mean anything to me.
Absolutely not.
She
it's
goes,
5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly. She's like, well, she goes, it's like 10:30, honey. I'm not going to drink all that. I go, well, I will. So I killed them both and walked out smiling. I was like,
yeah, I bet.
Then 2 hours later, because we didn't stop to go pee until then, I'm like, oh my God. Never had to. That's one of my top 3 times I had to pee. Just to let everybody know.
It'll do that to you.
Oh, good Lord. I couldn't get out of the bus fast enough. I was just like, oh man, now I'm hurting. It took the buzz away. I'm like, God. So it was kind of shitty, but it was what it was. But what's one of the greatest things about Hell's Addiction for you?
I think the brotherhood, to be fair, the camaraderie and just the fun. We have a lot of fun. Nothing
has there been since you guys have started recording?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I jumped in. How many changes in the band have there been since you started recording?
So it started with myself and my brother Ben, singer, Luke on drums, who still plays drums, and Jason, the bass player. So we started as a 4-piece.
Okay.
Ben played guitar and sang, and then he sort of said, "Look, I want to concentrate on singing. I'm enjoying this. So let's look for another guitarist. We'll keep that. You need to keep the sort of twin guitar, that full sound." Mm-hmm. So we had a chap called Adam come in for a little while and played. Did a great job. And then Adam left, and then we just got the gig to open Download Donington in 2016, and Dan joined. So Dan's the new guitar player. He's been there for years now.
Cool. I know it's crazy how fast it goes, right?
It does, yeah. Dan joined a week before Download, had 1 rehearsal, and then went and played Download. So It's a cool story. Yeah. It's a good introduction to the band. And I think it made us look far better than we were. So we managed to keep Dan, and we just have great fun now. It's so if somebody's not taking the mickey out of somebody somewhere in this band, it's not right. It's just it's a laugh a minute, to be honest.
That's the beauty of it, right? I mean, if you don't have that, it's rough.
Yeah. I mean, and there's bands out there that do it. There's people. You look at bands like Dokken. I mean, George Lynch and Don Dokken hated each other. I just don't know how you be able to spend that amount of time with somebody that you just, and we all do get on. We're all mates, and it's just good fun. It's just great fun. I think that's why we're still doing it. Because it's good fun.
Yeah. I do have to ask, is there times where it's where the regular natural brother thing comes in, where you're like,
all the time.
Why are you harder to get along with than these other guys?
all the time. But that's just kind of nature of the beast, I think, to be honest. You get family in anything that you care about, whether it was a sport in nature, where anything competitive, and not saying music's competitive, but you want to be as good as you can be, certainly. And even though you're siblings, you could be North and South Pole on your ideas, if you know what I mean. Then you've got to try and argue, and there's not any arguing with Ben. It doesn't happen. It's kind of just you put your point across, and then you either get like a smile or no, that ain't happening.
I can imagine. Sometimes that's easier. You're like, all I got to do is look at him, and he knows what I mean.
We've found other ways of communicating, definitely.
We were just talking about siblings today at work, and I was just like, there were times where I'd get into it with my brother on a daily basis. And that did not make me happy. We were 2 years.
No, it's not a nice place to be. When you're at each other's throats like that. It's no good for anybody, and it's not a good environment for the rest of the people that you're dealing with as well. It affects them as well. So I think we try and nip it in the bud now. Every now and again, one of us will have a dig and say a piece, and then it just kind of we get a bit too old and long in the tooth for all that kind of behavior now.
What's one of your favorite things about this band setup that you love on stage? That's the energy of it, really. I mean, Luke is a very active drummer. He's very kind of Tommy Lee-esque. Arms all over the place, cymbals. He plays his cymbals high up, so he looks very animated. Just to that point where you wonder if he's got an extra arm that he's throwing in sometimes. You're like,
exactly. Nobody stands still on stage. We're not a shoegazing band. There's a lot of jumping around. There's a lot of running around. It's great fun. It's a good workout. It's the only workout I get, and it's the only one I feel I need.
Except running to the pub, right?
I'm that.
Oh man. Well, we're right here at the end. Is there what's coming up? How are you guys looking forward to the holiday and getting ready for all that?
Definitely looking forward to having a bit of a Christmas break. We've got a Christmas show coming up, a local show at the Musician in Leicester on the 22nd of December. So it'll be local crowd out in force. It'll be a good crowd. It'll be a sellout night. It's always a good night in there. It's always good fun. We have so much fun with our fans. We're not the kind of band to sort of sit backstage. We'll have a drink with everybody at the bottom. We're just a lot of our fans have become very, very good friends. We're close to a hell of a lot of them, and people travel to see us, and we appreciate it, and we have a good time with everybody. So looking forward to that. We're playing this weekend at Winter Rocks Festival, which is in Sheffield. So we're on stage at 2:00, I think, in the afternoon. It's an early doors show for us, which is quite nice. We still kind of get a bit of a Saturday. Yeah.
I've got to wait until 8:00. That's when I start Saturday.
Yeah. See, we're getting very civilized in our old age.
Yeah. When I played one of my first gigs in another band years ago, my bandmate goes, this is my bedtime.
I've done it before. We've had shows, you're going on at 12:30 and you're thinking, what is it? What? This is when we were younger, and it'd be like a Thursday night, 3 hours away from home, and you're like, what are we doing?
Yes. Yeah. My guitar player years ago called me. I had a job working food service, and I had to be at work at 6 a.m. And he called me, he goes, hey, this drummer of mine, a friend, is over in Illinois. He's got a gig tonight, but he needs people to play. Can you play it? And I'm like, yeah. Till when is it? He goes, starts at 9, ends at 1. I'm like,
Jesus.
Okay. And then I got load out, and then I get
home. Exactly. You kind of say to yourself, right, so we'll finish then, we'll be packed up in 30 minutes. It doesn't happen. It just does not happen. And before you know it, you're walking in, you're jumping in the shower, you're going straight out.
Yep. I was just like, he goes, you sure? Well, that was the thing. He goes, you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I could use the little bit of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they look at you. He didn't look at me. He was on the phone, but he goes,
Yeah.
"Are you sure you want to do it?" I'm like, "Dude, don't argue with me about this."
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, it's rock and roll, dude. Let's do it."
Exactly.
You just got to do it. It's rock and roll, man.
We've all been there, definitely.
Yeah. It's great. Unfortunately, I didn't do it like he used to do it. He used to do these gigs that started at midnight because we had a club just across the river that would be open all 24 hours.
Okay, you get you.
So he'd be playing from like midnight to like 3 and then just
in
the parking lot at work.
Wow.
Wow, it's right. I'm like,
yep.
No, but they were all rock and rollers. That was St. Louis music that Crate and Ampeg, you know, back in the day until we got bought and they all got canned. But you know, crap. But yeah, but I'm glad everything is going well. And I'm glad that this album is coming out and that people are going to be able to hear it, buy it, love it like I do. And I look forward to seeing if we can get you guys over here.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, we'd love to do that. Definitely. But no, I'm glad you enjoyed the album, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I will. I'm going to put this back up here, and then hang tight with me. And I've got this cool new music that I'm going to do for this this outro piece.
Okay.
Because I got my buddy Mike Toro this and gave it to me, and I'll be talking with him here in a couple of weeks. So Liam, I will see you soon here in the green room, and everybody, thank you for being here today, and we will see you next week when we're talking to Timothy Gaines. Faces Timothy Gaines. Take it easy, guys.
Can you dig it?